In today's video, we're going to be continuing with and discussing our journey through the wastelands of Fallout 3. Last time, we found ourselves inside of the beached aircraft carrier known as Rivet City. From there, we went to the science lab and spoke with Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee told us that our dad was there but had left pretty recently. He went over to the Jefferson Memorial in an attempt to continue with their old work. The research in question is known as Project Purity, their attempts at completely purifying all of the surrounding drinkable water. Our dad's research at the Jefferson Memorial led us all the way here to Vault 112, as he was apparently in search of someone by the name of Dr. Braun. Now, in order to find him, we enter inside of one of these Tranquility loungers to see what awaits us. We activate one of the pods, hop on up, and sit in the lounger. The cover closes back over us, and a TV swings in front of our face. We see a picture of a suburban neighborhood, and a child's face flashes in front of it. All of a sudden, we're teleported into some fantasy land. We see everything through a monochromatic lens. The world is black and white with a warm overtone. Somewhat breaking the immersion, our character advances to level 6. Here we put our skill points into repair, medicine, and small guns. Then for our next perk, we decide to go with Gunslinger, which significantly increases our accuracy in VATS. We stand up from the park bench that we're sitting on and notice we're a small child. Before we have the chance at taking the rest of it in, we're approached by a stranger.
Hey there, sport. Beautiful day, isn't it? Say, you should go talk to Betty. She's waiting for you over on the playground. Have fun, sport.
It turns out there are other people here in this simulation as well. We recognize the name of George Newsbaum. He had his own entry dedicated to him in one of the computers. He told us to go and speak with someone by the name of Betty, but we want to talk with him a little bit more.
What can I do for you, sport?
We ask him where we are.
Such a kidder. You're on Tranquility Lane, of course. Where else would you be?
We ask him if this is some kind of computer simulation.
Sounds like you've been spending too much time with your nose in those darned comic books, sport.
We ask him if he's seen our dad.
Nope, afraid not. Don't you worry about it, though. You'll find him.
We ask him what he can tell us about the neighborhood.
You mean besides how wonderful it is to live here? Everyone's very friendly, even old lady Dithers, though she's lost most of her marbles.
Then lastly, for fun, we comment on how nice of a day it is.
Another perfect Saturday afternoon. Make sure you enjoy it, sport. Of course it is. It's America, isn't it?
We tell him we have to go.
Take care now.
So, from what we gathered, we're in a place called Tranquility Lane, and the residents don't know that they're in a simulation. We approach a young boy, about our age, and see if he has any other insight on this matter.
Hi there, I'm Timmy. Wanna play?
We tell him that none of this is real.
What? You're weird.
We then ask him if he's seen our dad.
Your dad? Nope, I haven't. Did he get lost?
We then ask what he can tell us about the neighborhood.
It's okay, I guess. I don't really have nobody to play with, except for Betty, and she's kind of, well, she's mean.
We leave the conversation, and now it's pretty solidified that nobody here knows they're in a simulation. There are a few houses here on Tranquility Lane, each belonging to a different family or resident. All of them are relatively cookie cutter. The main floor has a living room, a bathroom, and a kitchen, while the upstairs has 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. And almost none of the houses have basements. We decide to speak with a few other residents. We ask them all of the same questions we asked the news bombs, starting with have they seen our dad?
No, sweetie, I haven't. I'm sure he'll come looking for you before long, though.
Can't say that I have, kiddo. Don't worry. I'm sure he'll turn up.
Your dad? No, I haven't. I'm sure he's around here somewhere.
We then try to tell everybody that they're in a simulation.
What? Oh, sweetie, maybe you should just run along and play.
Is that so? Well, you ought to tell that to my big toe, kiddo. Hurts like the dickens since I stubbed it earlier today. Feels pretty real to me.
Oh, you're such a kidder.
Lastly, we ask if there's anything they can tell us about the neighborhood.
Well, George and I have been here. Why, as long as I can remember.
Nice place. Real nice. Everyone's friendly and always happy to lend a hand.
Roger suggested we move here. I don't quite remember when that was. It's very nice. We're doing quite well.
Nobody can really give us the answers we're looking for, but it is nice that everybody's also fairly friendly. As a side note, while in the Newsbomb's house, on their kitchen table we found a military school brochure. Interacting with it, we're able to read it and add it into our inventory. We're not sure if this will help us down the line, but we have a suspicion it might. There are plenty more residents here in Tranquility Lane. We spoke to pretty much all of them, barring Betty and Old Lady Dithers. Again, as demonstrated, they all have pretty much the same outlook on this place and their current situation. So naturally, the next person we decided to speak to was Old Lady Dithers. According to George Newsbomb, she's a bit of a kook.
You don't belong here. You're not supposed to be here. It's not real, none of it. It needs to end. The suffering must end.
We tell her that finally somebody else sees what's going on here and ask how we get out.
We're not really here. We're not really talking. It's all made up. Make-believe. We're sleeping, dreaming. The dream became a nightmare. It has to end. It just has to. But we're not in charge. He is. And he doesn't want us to wake up.
We ask who she's talking about.
He calls himself Betty now, but he's still the same. He can put on a new face all he likes, but underneath he's still evil. Braun. Bastard thinks because he helped create this place, he's God here. But I know he still uses the failsafe terminal. I know it.
We ask what the failsafe terminal is.
It's in the abandoned house. He doesn't want us going in there because he's afraid we might find it. It's the only terminal to the outside. The only way to shut the whole thing down. You've got to find it.
Well, it seems as though there's at least one person here who knows what's going on. So far, almost everybody has outright said that Betty isn't the best person. And now, Old Lady Dithers outright says she's evil. She mentioned that the only way to shut down this simulation is by finding a failsafe terminal in the abandoned house. Before we go looking for that, or before we go speaking to Betty, we test out what the combat is like in this world. We decide to wail on Old Lady Dithers. Our punches actually do a fair bit of damage. It only takes a few of them to completely get her health down. We definitely have the ability to kill people here, as after we beat down Old Lady Dithers, there's no message saying that she's unconscious. In case we need her for something in the future, we reload our save and continue on from there. Now, the last person we need to speak to here is Betty. We go to the central area where there's a playground. Our quest marker points us over to a little girl. Near the little girl is actually a dog named Doc. We interact with the dog but can't do much. Now it's time to go over to Betty.
Oh, someone new to play with. What good luck I have lately. I was just starting to get bored. Oh, we're going to have so much fun.
We ask her who she is.
I'm Betty. I live here on Tranquility Lane. Want to play a game?
We ask her what's going on here.
We're going to play a game now, silly. That's what's going on.
We ask her if she's seen our father.
Gee, I don't know. What's he like?
We tell him he's an older guy in his 50s.
And he's new here too, isn't he? Oh boy, he's your daddy, huh? I had no idea. That makes this even more fun. Let's play.
We tell her we don't want to play any games.
You don't get to say no. If I want to play a game, you're going to play. And I want to.
We tell her fine, we'll play along.
I knew you would. It's a really simple game. All you have to do is make Timmy Newsbum cry.
We ask her what kind of game this is.
It'll be funny. Come on, you'll see. Make him cry, and then come back here, and we'll talk some more.
The conversation ends, and we reluctantly go on our way. Timmy Newsbomb is the only other kid in this community besides us and Betty. We go over to the Newsbomb residence and find Timmy outside. We speak with him.
Hi, wanna play?
We try our luck and tell him his parents are getting a divorce.
You're a big dumb liar.
We then tell him he's getting sent to military school.
What? No, I'm not.
We show him the brochure we picked up earlier.
But I don't want to go away. I don't want to leave my mommy.
And with that, Timmy Newsbomb runs back inside his house and begins to cry. For fun, we rub salt in the womb and begin punching him. I'm fairly certain violence would have worked as well in terms of making him cry from the get-go, but the brochure was definitely more of an interesting way to go. Once that's taken care of, we return back to Betty and tell her we completed her little game.
Yay, you did it! Good job!
A clever approach. I'm not sure I would have considered it. Very encouraging. Your reward for winning the game is to ask a single question. I will answer honestly and frankly.
We ask whoever this is where our father is.
Ah, yes. A predictable question, I suppose. Your father is here, in Tranquility Lane. He is quite safe for now, though he can no longer hound me with his incessant questioning.
Perhaps you will see more of him in time.
We ask what they've done to him.
Were I you, I'd be more concerned with myself at the moment.
And besides, we're done with questions for now. Perhaps we'll address it at a later time. First, I have something else for you to do.
We ask what else they want from us.
Pay a visit to the Rockwells. They're very happily married, and I'd like you to change that. Put an end to their marriage, and we'll talk.
We agree, but only because we want more answers.
Rationalize it any way you'd like. If you succeed, we'll continue our discussion.
From here, we run over to the Rockwell residence. Entering inside of their home, we speak with the wife, Janet Rockwell.
Well, hi there.
We tried to convince her that Mr. Rockwell is cheating on her.
What a horrible thing to say. Is that your idea of a joke?
Having failed, we ask about their marriage.
Our marriage? Oh, goodness, what kind of a question is that? Mabel didn't put you up to this, did she? What a silly thing to ask about.
We don't get any direct information, but we do get a clue that Mabel Henderson might know something. We quickly go to speak with Roger Rockwell.
Good day to you.
We ask if there's anything he wants to tell us about their marriage.
Now see here, that's not anything for you to be asking about. Our marriage is our business and it's private. Why can't people just understand that and just leave us alone?
Well, we don't get any revealing information out of him either, other than the fact that other people have pried into their marriage as well. We try our next best source, Mabel Henderson.
Well, hi there.
We ask about the Rockwell's marriage.
Well, they're just so nice, aren't they? It's good the two of them worked everything out.
We ask what she means by that.
Oh, well, I'm not one to talk, but there was that fight last year. Everyone could hear them arguing. Janet thought there was something going on with Roger and Martha Simpson. He eventually convinced her it wasn't true. But I've seen the way Martha looks at him. Janet may believe him, but I sure don't.
We tell her thanks for the tip.
Tip? Oh, I wouldn't call it that. Just something I heard is all.
Our next stop is to find this Martha Simpson. We go over to the Simpson residence, see her standing in her living room, and speak with her.
Good day to you.
We ask about the Rockwell's marriage.
Why are you asking me? I don't know anything. And why should I care about their marriage anyway?
We try insisting on the full story.
It's none of your business. Now leave me alone.
Unfortunately, this is where the escapade between Martha Simpson and Roger Rockwell ends. We don't get to hear about any of the juicy gossip or the details. But there is still one thing we can do. In Martha Simpson's bedroom, we find some lacy underwear on her bed. We pick it up and bring it over to the Rockwell house. Before I mention that almost none of the houses have a basement. The one exception is the Rockwell house. It looks and feels more like a cellar, as the ground is made of cobblestone and the walls are concrete. Down here, Roger Rockwell has a desk. By activating it, we can actually place the underwear atop of it. Now we can go back upstairs and tell Mrs. Rockwell about our latest discovery.
Good day to you.
We tell her there's something she needs to see in the basement.
What were you doing in our basement? What's down there?
We tell her that it's important.
Okay, if you say so.
She gets up and follows us down there. Upon seeing it, she has a pretty strong reaction.
What's this? Women's clothing? Down here?
We speak with her about it.
What? What the hell is this?
We question if it's hers or not.
What is this doing here?
We say that he's likely cheating on her.
My God! I knew it! I knew it!
Janet goes back upstairs, calls Roger some pretty nasty words, and runs away. At this point, neither of them want to talk about it, which is perfect for us as we've completed our little game. We go back to Betty and speak with her.
You have turned out to be quite resourceful, it seems. I am slightly impressed. I enjoy your company far more than your father's. He responded quite negatively to my requests.
We tell them that they have some explaining to do.
You have amused me thus far, but I still don't think you're quite in a position to be demanding anything. Still, I suppose you've earned the right to some further answers. What would you ask of me?
We ask what our father wanted from them.
Your father, frustrating as he was, recognized the significance of some of my previous work. He came to gather information on it. He was most pleased to be able to ask me directly, but he failed to understand how things work here. He was unwilling to compromise, to do anything I asked of him, and so our discussions ended.
We say we want to see him and ask where he is.
If you continue to behave and do as I ask, I may be willing to release both of you. But first, you have work to do.
We reluctantly accept.
Oh, come now, show some enthusiasm.
There are fewer rules this time. I'd like to see just what you're capable of.
I'd like you to kill Mabel Henderson. Please put some effort into it. Do something creative. Beating her to death won't impress me.
We agree to do it.
Of course you will. And you never know. You might enjoy it.
We leave the conversation and go over to the Simpson residence. Inside, our quest marker points us to Mabel Henderson herself, but who we really want to talk to is Martha Simpson.
Well, hi there.
We ask if there's anything she can tell us about Mabel.
Mabel's a good friend to me. She's always interested in what's going on with my life, which is more than I can say for some people. I'll sometimes go over to her house and chat while she's baking. She really loves to bake. Uses that oven all the time.
We leave the conversation and take note that Mabel loves baking. We go inside of the Henderson residence and go over to the oven. Interacting with it, we have the option of fiddling with the pilot light. This apparently will make it very dangerous to operate. Going ahead with it anyways, the notification switches up saying that gas is now filling the air. We run back over to Mabel and ask her if she can bake us anything.
Well, sure I can, sweetie. Let me just go light the oven to get it warming up.
We follow Mabel out of the living room and into the kitchen. She approaches the oven and bends over. Attempting to turn it on results in explosion. Mabel herself is directly hit with the impact. She dies instantly, her body is lit on fire, and even some of her limbs were sent flying. Successfully completing the game, we go back to Betty.
Appliances certainly can be dangerous, can't they?
You are most resourceful, and you certainly do get results. You have exceeded my expectations. And now, we come to the last tasks that I have for you. Succeed, and you shall be granted whatever you wish.
We ask how we know if they're being honest with us.
I think you'll find that I have been quite honest with you thus far. You have no discernible reason to mistrust me. In the doghouse, out behind the abandoned home, are a mask and knife. Don the mask and become the pint-sized slasher. Use the knife to eliminate all the residents of Tranquility Lane.
We ask who the pint-sized slasher is.
He is a figure of myth, born of old campfire stories. You will make him a reality. The residents will know you and they will fear you. When they have all been eliminated, return to me.
We ask why they're doing all this.
Because I can, of course.
I have total power here. I may do whatever I wish. And over these many years, I have found that I wish to see others suffer.
We ask why don't they just leave the vault?
Are you mad? I've been here for almost 200 years. My body is in no condition to be used for anything. And yet here in Tranquility Lane, I am as strong and youthful as I care to be. No, I think I'll stay here, thank you. And you will now do as you're told. The slasher awaits.
Now we set off to do our final task here in Tranquility Lane. We approach the abandoned home, make our way to the backyard, and interact with the doghouse. We're automatically equipped with a knife and a mask. The residents run away in fear of us. They see us coming and sprint off into the opposite direction. All it takes is one slash with the knife to kill them. Mabel Henderson was first, and we learned that by swinging away at their dead body, we can actually hack their limbs off. One by one, we would track down the residents of Tranquility Lane and cut them to pieces. The only one we couldn't find was Timmy Newsbomb, but it makes sense since he's a kid. After killing every single person in Tranquility Lane, we go back over to Betty.
Most enjoyable. Most enjoyable indeed. I haven't felt this exhilarated in years.
We ask her to let us out.
Yes. I suppose you've earned the right to do as you like.
I shall miss your company. This has been a simply wonderful time.
The door is now open. Through it you may return to the real world, and whatever inferior existence you have there.
A door back to reality has opened up, and we can now exit Tranquility Lane. Before we do, we speak to Betty one more time.
I've given you permission to leave. I suggest you take the opportunity before I change my mind. I'm even being so gracious as to allow your father to exit as well. His presence here failed to amuse me some time ago.
And with that, we can now leave the simulation and get back to the Capital Wasteland. I consider that to be our character's canon. However, we're most interested in seeing this failsafe that old lady Dithers was talking about. Before we go on with that, if you're curious, this is what happens if we try to kill Betty.
You can't do that here. And now you have to pay.
Going back to the failsafe, we enter inside of the abandoned house and the whole aroma changes. It's extremely dark, we hear creepy and off-putting noises, and everything's a complete mess. We try to look around for the failsafe, but we can't find it. Going back to the living room, we see there's a few objects we can activate. All of them make a certain noise except for one. This would indicate that there's likely a pattern here, and if we get the code right, maybe we can make something happen. We activate the items in this order: radio, pitcher, gnome, pitcher, cinder block, gnome, and Nuka-Cola bottle. Once getting the combination right, a computer terminal materializes in the living room. We go up to it and access it. Here we have the ability to initiate a Chinese invasion protocol. Reading a little bit about this simulation, we see that Tranquility Lane is not Dr. Braun's first experiment. We see that there's been two others before it, one on an island and another up in the mountains. We also see that if we were to activate the Chinese invasion failsafe, every citizen killed would result in their deaths in the real world, with the only exception being Dr. Braun. We initiate the failsafe anyways, and free everybody from this simulation prison. By doing so, we actually gain karma. So I suppose it could be looked at that the failsafe is the good ending, and following Betty's commands is the bad ending. Leaving the abandoned house, we see a platoon of Chinese soldiers gunning down the citizens. However, they're not aggroed onto us. Again, similar to last time, Timmy Newsbomb is nowhere to be seen, and Betty and the dog Doc are the only survivors. We return back to Betty to see what she has to say about all this.
Do you realize what you've done? You've triggered the failsafe, ruined everything. The subjects will die and I'll be stuck here in this hell alone.
You ruined everything! Everything!
We tell her that she's getting what she deserves.
You've taken them all from me. You've left me with nothing.
It's not fair. Nobody to play with ever again.
And with all of that, we're now free to leave Tranquility Lane yet again. However, the path we continue on with regards to our story is the one where we obeyed every one of Betty's commands.